Hello and welcome to the In for a Penny podcast. I'm Marc Shoffman, a freelance personal finance journalist, and I'm joined by my financial planner friend Joshua Gerstler, who runs an advisory business called The Orchard Practice.
Hello.
If you'd like to know a little bit more about us, you can check me out at www.cavendishcontent.com and Josh at www.topfs.co.uk.
Each episode, we aim to give our perspective on the world of finance and money and discuss some of the issues that crop up in business as well as everyday life. We hope that you'll learn something from our podcast as well as have some fun too.
Hello.
Hi.
And thank you. Bit of a sore throat there. We'll come back to that.
This is probably the first podcast we've recorded in a while that I haven't had a cough or a cold.
Yeah.
In the midst of the coronavirus outbreak,
yes,
I am now a picture of health.
You are a picture of health. So
everyone else has got it. I've spread it to everyone else, but I'm all right.
So thanks everyone for downloading the latest In for a Penny podcast episode when we are in the midst of a coronavirus epidemic, a pandemic in some countries, but they haven't said it's a pandemic here in the UK yet, have they?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, but we do have listeners from around the world.
We wish you well.
We wish you well. If you are in isolation, the In for a Penny podcast apparently
you can download all the back episodes.
Exactly, is the perfect antidote to the boredom you can have in isolation. We have mortgage guides, insurance episodes. You can learn so much in the 2 weeks that you need to be isolated for. So, forget Netflix, because you don't want to be touching things.
No.
Because you'll be like putting the coronavirus germs all over everything. So,
is our podcast automated? You don't have to touch anything.
Well, I don't know if you could voice act. If you have Alexa, you can listen to our podcast if you have a podcast app, like via TuneIn.
So basically, we're doing our bit to eradicate coronavirus.
Exactly. So I thought for this episode, seeing as everyone is talking about it, we talk about coronavirus.
Sure.
Okay. So obviously, it has had an effect on stock markets. They've seen some of the biggest falls since 2008, as investors have panicked because I guess things have been shut in China. They're worried about consumer sentiment and people getting hold of stuff. Supermarkets are being ransacked for toilet rolls, for toilet paper. Have you stocked up on toilet paper?
Got enough. Haven't stocked up. We got enough.
Yeah. What are your clients saying? Are they phoning you up, panicking, coughing?
Actually, so far we're recording this first week of March.
Yeah.
I haven't had any clients call yet.
Email?
No, I haven't had anyone asking about it, which is great.
Yeah.
Brexit was like a question every 5 minutes.
What do people ask about Brexit?
Just about impacts on the markets.
Yeah.
And this has had a bigger impact on the market, but haven't had calls yet. Most of our clients know, and we always give them the same message: don't panic, carry on. If we're investing for the long term, doesn't matter if things go down for a bit. In fact, it's great because the stock market's on sale.
But what does that mean? Does that mean you should buy more? Like you should put more money in?
If you can afford to, yeah.
Yeah.
When you can is the difficult question, because we don't know when the exact bottom is going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are on sale. Get stuck in.
Get stuck in. So if you were a DIY investor, because I think now one of the things you see in a lot of the personal finance pages is journalists writing about stocks falling and then trying to identify where the best ones are to buy now and where you should maybe sell out. So for a DIY investor, I guess you may be tempted to do that to make a quick buck. But if you've got a long-term plan, is that a good idea?
No, is the short answer.
Okay.
It's impossible to predict the top of the market and the bottom of the market. No one knows exactly when that's going to be. You can't time the market. What's the old phrase, Mark?
It's all about time in the market rather than timing the market.
Yeah, say that a bit slower so we can hear the distinction.
It's all about time in the market rather than timing the market.
Okay.
I'm lucky it was that phrase I was going to go for. There's no such thing as a free lunch. But
no.
Okay.
So if you sell out now with the expectation that things are going to drop further, and when things hit the bottom you're going to buy back in, chances are you're going to get it wrong and miss. If you were that clever, you would have sold everything already when we were at the peak. But people only know in hindsight what's going to happen.
Also, gold's gone up in price, hasn't it? So
the old safe haven, as people say, the rush to gold, as the headlines will tell you. You'll see billions wiped off the stock market. Why is it always wiped off?
Yeah.
What's the wiping got to do with it?
Because you're like wiping the value off.
What does that mean, wiping the value off? Does it used to be that it was maybe written in a piece of chalk or something and they wiped it off? Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, don't know. If anyone knows, let us know. rush to safe havens, rush to gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, that's what people do. They panic.
But should people have a little bit more? I mean, what about rebalancing? Because that's something people should do from time to time anyway, isn't it?
Not just as a reactive thing when there's something happens like this. You do that if that's part of your plan that you rebalance, whether it's 6 monthly or yearly. You do it 6 monthly and yearly, not in reaction to a market event.
And how? Because a lot of people are saying this coronavirus could last years, or because it could be a while until we get a vaccine. So if there's always uncertainty, at what point does a short-term market blip become a long-term concern?
What do you think?
Well, I think if you look at Brexit, that people initially said was a short-term thing, but it took 3 years for the UK to leave, and then that time markets were going up and down.
Yeah.
And if I was retiring at that time and looking to take my money out from a pension, I possibly would have been a bit nervous and would have had to adapt my plan.
But most people nowadays, when they get to retirement, aren't taking all their money out of their investments, which is an important point. You don't get to, let's say it's 65, you don't get to 65 years of age and say, right, now I've got to put everything in cash because I'm going to live off that for retirement. You carry on investing because you want that money to continue to grow throughout your retirement. And if you've got a proper financial plan, you'll stress test big market falls, short-term temporary declines in the market. You will factor that in to your plan.
But if you were just about to retire, just about to take a annuity or go into, well, I guess drawdown wouldn't matter so much, but if you wanted to take an annuity where you have a fixed income for life, wouldn't you be a bit annoyed if markets were now down and you've just taken an annuity?
I don't know if annoyed is the word, but you can't do anything about it. I don't know. Very few people that we look after and help are taking annuities nowadays. So I don't know whether that's so much of a concern. I would say the majority of the clients, 99% of our clients, are going into drawdown. So that just means you're taking your first withdrawal when the value of your pot is lower than it was the day before. Yeah, it's not the ideal scenario. You'd rather it was going up and up. But anyone who invests knows that's not possible. Volatility is the entry price for investing.
If people were just about to start with an ISA now, or start on a pension journey, do you think they'd be more nervous and invest less?
Yeah, human nature is to be fearful when things are falling and to jump on the bandwagon when things are going up in value. But really, it should be the complete other way around. Now is the perfect time to invest. I don't mean on a particular day. As I said, I can't time it. But when things are coming down, that means they're cheaper than they were a day ago, a week ago, a month ago. Why would you have been excited to buy things a month ago but not excited to buy them now when they're cheaper?
Yeah. True.
Yeah? I've convinced you.
Yeah, because I get, as a journalist, I get a lot of press releases saying now's the time to buy this and that, like gold or kind of uncorrelated assets. And I often see someone like regulated advisors doing that as well. Do you think that's irresponsible?
Yeah, I'd love to see a journalist.
Love to see a journalist.
Yeah, it's the end of my sentence.
Right in front of you.
I'd love to. No, but a proper one.
Wow.
I'd love to see a journalist, the ones that say, right, now's the time to buy gold, also give the articles when they say now's the time to sell. If they can give the both sides of it and get it right, fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's just, oh, look, prices are suddenly hit record highs. You should buy it now. Well, no. When they're at rock bottom prices, that's when you should tell us to buy it. And sell now when it goes high. It's the other way around.
How do you counteract that, though?
You don't really. You can't stop the general public reading the financial pages of what people nowadays like to call it the financial porn.
Yeah.
It's if you are sensible and you make sensible financial decisions, or you've got an advisor holding your hand and guiding you, making sure you behave sensibly, you'll be okay. But someone like you, a handsome young man in your 30s,
thank you.
You are accumulating wealth. You're not in the decumulation stage. You're building up your wealth for the future. As long as if you're paying money into your pension, your ISA, your investments on a monthly basis, you should be rubbing your hands together with joy, because this month you're going to buy double of what you bought last month.
It seems that every few years now we have volatile events.
Correct. Yeah.
We have Brexit.
Yeah, we always have that.
Well, maybe it's because I wasn't investing when I was younger. But in the late 90s and early 2000s, I don't feel like you had a massive economic shock
Well, you would.
every 3
Well, I'll
years.
remind you, at the 90s, 2000s, do you remember the dot-com boom?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was ploughing into tech stocks, making loads of money, and then the bubble burst, and everyone lost their... everyone lost their money, lots of people lost a lot of money. It's always like that. The stock market on a inter-year basis is probably up 75% of the time and down 25% of the time.
Yeah.
Okay? It can drop from 14% declines tends to be the sort of the yearly change. It will go up, it will go down. I do not panic. My money is invested in a lot of the same things that my clients' money is invested in. So if the value of theirs have gone down, so has mine. If the value of theirs have gone up, so has mine. But you just get on with it. It's not a loss unless you sell it.
Do you think consumers may be less willing to remortgage or or get on the housing ladder now because of sentiment, and could lenders then become a bit more cagey?
I haven't seen any changes in the lending in the mortgage world. Remember, what do we say? We're beginning of March, and this has been in the press probably since early January, but really in England only the last few weeks it's been an issue. So I haven't seen anything in the property market, which is just about picking up again after the Brexit announcement. Was that end of January?
Yeah, with Boris bounce apparently.
Yeah, so I haven't seen anything property-wise, and I don't know whether it's going to stop people moving house. Unless you're worried there's germs left in the house. You've got to wait 2 weeks when the old people move out until you move in.
Well, that's because I write a little bit about estate agency, and some are saying people don't want to come and do viewings as much, or sellers don't want people coming to the house because it could be.
Yeah, it's fair enough. But then you could say, well, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You should lock yourself in your own house and don't mix with anyone. It's impossible. If you think on a daily basis, if you take a typical day for you,
yeah,
you get up in the morning
That's it.
and you take your girls to school. So you're walking from the car park to the school, the amount of people you encounter.
Yeah.
And the amount of people they encounter. Then you're going back home. You might be getting to a train station.
Yeah.
To get on a train with hundreds of people and they've also in turn met hundreds. It's impossible not to mix with people. You can't panic. You just got to get on with life. Be sensible. Don't start kissing strangers and rubbing up against them.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to stop that, Mark.
What about in your office? Are you implementing any strategies? Hand sanitizer on every desk?
Interestingly, a couple of the guys have got hand sanitizers anyway.
They got it. Well, that's where it's all gone.
Because we get. I think it was Metro Bank gave out like branded hand sanitizers a year or two ago, so we got a few of those in the
Finally,
office.
some good PR for Metro Bank.
Yeah. But we haven't. I know big companies have put in work. Your wife's got a policy at her work. Do you want to tell us about that?
So they have half of them work from home one bit of a week and then half the other. So people aren't interacting with each other as much. I think like Facebook have done that as well, and some other big companies to reduce the risk.
And we were talking just before, weren't we? Why in previous health scares, so SARS, swine flu, why it didn't seem that people had these work from home policies and stuff then. And your wife, or my wife, someone's wife made a valid point. I get confused because they
all look the same.
Yeah, they all look the same. Said, well, last time there was one of these things, people didn't have the technology to work from home, which I think was a fair point. So in my office, nothing yet. We've still got clients coming in. We're still working.
Do you think you'd get to the point though where you say to clients it's too much of a risk?
Only if it becomes that the sort of the government and the health chiefs say that.
What would you do? Would you have video meetings?
Yeah, could do. Speak to people on the telephone. But there's no point panicking.
Yeah, but I don't. Well, for me, it would be okay if I if I was told I can't go out.
You'd love it, wouldn't you?
Well,
stay in your pajamas
I hate
all day.
going out, but I do a lot of my work on the computer anyway, so I assume I could just still use the internet.
Yeah.
You can't catch coronavirus over Twitter.
I don't know, the sites that you go on.
But for you, you've got an office with staff.
Yeah.
And what would you do if you were told, your staff have to isolate for 2 weeks?
Well, if people have got, I think everyone's got a laptop, so they could work from home.
Yeah.
If needs be, and if clients weren't allowed to come in, then clients weren't allowed to come in. Would it impact on business? Short term, probably not. But if it carried on for long term, it'd be a bit of a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for a lot of other smaller firms, if you've got staff, God forbid, who are sick, and then you've got to worry about sick pay, and then people aren't working, and then
it could impact on the whole economy. I was at a talk on, I don't know what day it was, last week.
Yeah.
From a chief investment officer or deputy chief investment officer at one of the investment houses. I won't name them,
Okay.
but he was telling us what they're doing about coronavirus. And we're monitoring the statistics, how many people get it, how many deaths. We're comparing that to previous health scares. We're extrapolating our figures. We're looking at Chinese manufacturing output, the smog level above the country. We're looking at movement of workers, all these fantastic stats. So I said, what does it mean? He said, I don't know. So you can't predict it. You don't know what's going to happen. You can look at all the data, but the only way you know exactly what's going to happen in terms of investments is when it's all finished and it ends on this date. You can say, yeah, that was a date. Everything's better now.
Yeah.
Can't predict it. It's impossible.
I guess the risk of panicking now is you cash in your losses and you've got a lot to make up if you go back in later.
Yeah, correct. You're doing the complete opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You'd be selling low and buying high.
What about for you? I mean, have you got holidays planned that you may have to delay?
Yeah, we've got a holiday booked for around Easter time for Passover, going to Israel. So Israel at the moment there's no problems with people coming in from the UK, but I think they have banned people coming in from France. Where else is it?
Northern Italy, where they've had major cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iran have had a lot of cases, but I doubt there's much tourism between
Iran
Israel and Iran. If they say to us we can't go, then we won't go.
But you would go now?
Yeah, why am I going to not go?
Because, we are planning to go to LA at the end of March, beginning of April. And we're, happy to go as long as... But there is a risk that, because you are technically going to... Well, not technically. For LA, for example, or Israel, you're going to go and sit on a plane for 4 hours or however long it takes.
Yeah.
So you're exposing yourself to a high level of people who could be touching you and could be ill.
Why are they going to touch me?
Well, we're going to barge past you because planes are quite small.
Yeah.
So there's probably a higher chance of catching something if someone was ill there rather than if you were just walking in the street. But
it's a fair point, but
some people will say, why expose yourself to that?
Well, let's just go on with it. If it is told it's not safe to travel, do not go, then we will not go and we'll go on holiday another time.
It would be a shame, though, wouldn't it?
It would be a shame. I like a good holiday and it'd be nice for the kids. They'd be upset, but if you're told not to go, then it's more important to be healthy. But America is the type of country very strict on border control and tourism. I could see them just locking down borders, keeping you at the airport for 3 weeks or something.
That could be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah, thanks. It's a good way to tackle climate change, though, isn't it? Just stop all the planes.
It'd be interesting to see, actually, what's happened to pollution over the last few weeks.
What do you think about all
Tottenham.
the social media around coronavirus? Because government here are doing daily updates of how many people have been infected, how many people have caught it, but they don't do daily updates for the flu or something. Like, do you think it's causing more scaremongering?
It is a bit, and as much as there's no need to put it out there, you find yourself sort of thinking, oh, well, how many hit today?
Yeah.
It's interesting statistics, but there's no need to put it out there.
That may be another reason why it feels worse now than when it was like swine flu or because there wasn't as much social media then and you weren't looking at Twitter.
And on the flip side, though, if they didn't say anything and you got all these people dying, they'll be like, it's a government conspiracy. Yeah. Why aren't they saying anything? Why aren't they telling us what to do? So you can't win.
You can't win. But you just got to keep on your journey, whether it's investing or going on a plane. Yeah?
Keep flying high.
Keep flying high.
Yeah, stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan, the flight plan.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, interestingly, the airplane analogy is quite good because investing and having a financial plan is a bit like flying a plane.
You need a passport?
You need to have a destination.
Yeah.
And you've got to every so often do a little tweak to your flight path.
Nice.
To make sure you're still going to be on track. You don't need to do massive changes.
Yeah.
But if you're 1 degree off course, you'll end up hundreds of miles away. So you've got to keep an eye on things, keep monitoring, keep planning, keep updating.
Yeah. Do you have to do that thing where your ears pop if you're investing?
Yeah, you do. You have to. Yeah, and there's always a safety.
Volatility. I don't know.
Well, there's always going to be turbulence.
Turbulence, nice.
On the journey, Mark. Yeah. There's always turbulence. But we are your life jacket. Oh. We are your oxygen mask. Nice. We are your seatbelt.
Do you serve food?
Yeah, in our office we do. There's coffee, there's chocolates, biscuits. You've been in and eating the chocolates. Yeah. Should we move on from coronavirus?
Okay.
Yeah, because it's probably
done enough for that.
Yeah, what else can you tell? What's going on in your life, Mark? We often talk about the awards that the Orchard Practice has been up for. What have
I did a freelancer in focus interview for Headline Money.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
that sounds exciting.
Personal finance website where you can access press releases and network and find out what else is going on in the personal finance world among journalists and PRs.
Great. So what type of stuff did they ask you?
They asked me all about me, my history.
What's your favourite topic?
Yeah, I don't really like talking about myself, actually. I think if you listen back to his podcast, it's all you.
Because you keep asking me questions.
Yeah, I know, because I'm a journalist. But there are some interesting questions like what has been my proudest moment about my history.
What's been your proudest moment
in your journalistic
career?
moment?
What's been your proudest journalistic moment?
No, well, I mentioned an article I did at the end of last year, which inspired some of our podcasts about having to deal with my dad's estate and report inheritance tax to HMRC, and so I did an article.
The personal stuff,
yes,
is that the most?
So I feel like the personal stuff is often creates the most interesting stories. So I wrote something for the Mail on Sunday about how HMRC systems aren't really up to scratch when you're trying to claim reliefs and reports what are relatively simple estates.
Have they done anything about it?
No, but there is a budget. Hopefully this will come out before a budget.
Yeah, the budget's going to be on Wednesday. You'll probably publish this on Monday or Tuesday, won't you?
So there are rumours that they're going to change things in the budget. There is pressure for the government to simplify the inheritance tax system.
Okay.
There's some other things. Maybe I'm going to put you on the spot about this.
Go on.
Because one of the things there are rumours that they will clamp down on is business property relief and investing in AIM stocks to reduce your inheritance tax liability.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
What I think about it is sort of a very wide-ranging question.
How much of a problem would that be if investing in AIM stocks was no longer exempt?
Well, I think there's two things to think about. One is it going to impact people that are already invested in AIM stocks? Because we've got some clients that are invested in certain AIM assets specifically for inheritance tax planning.
Yeah.
So if it's sort of retrospective, then it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Because we have to change all the plans for clients. If it's, what's the opposite of retrospective? I know forward-looking, but there must be some sort of posh word. But that's short-term. It'll be an issue because you've got to come up with new ideas. But there's always something that you can do to be sensible.
Yeah.
I don't know. They will. One of the reasons they make them exempt is because they want to encourage people to invest in the AIM market, and they probably don't want no money going into the AIM. So I don't know if they'll completely wipe it out or not. We'll have to wait and see. Be interesting.
Yeah, but I thought one of the main points of business property relief initially was that people could pass on their property.
Well, not their property is in their homes. It's businesses. Yeah.
But now if people are investing in it, then that's not those people's businesses, is it?
Yeah, slightly different, but yeah.
So
hopefully they're still going to allow people to pass on their family businesses down the generations.
Yeah.
Don't want to tax that.
Yeah. All right.
That's
all we have time for. Wish you a safe week or so ahead. Don't catch coronavirus. Don't shake hands. Are you shaking hands? That's a good question.
Am I shaking? Yeah, at the moment I am. Yeah.
With people?
Yeah.
Because then, there's like the Wuhan shake now, which is named after Wuhan.
Is that the foot one?
Yeah.
There's the foot one. A bit of, you could do
elbow.
A fist pump.
Fist pump.
The elbow.
Should you do fist pumps?
Yeah, I don't mind a fist pump.
Yeah, but I've got to wash my fists now. And elbows, yeah. Just so you're not shaking hands. No more kissing. Is your wife all right with that?
I don't know. I have to ask her boyfriend.
Thanks for listening. Stay healthy. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Please remember, anything discussed in this programme should not be viewed as financial advice. But if you do need support, please contact me at Marc, M-A-R-C, at cavendishcontent.com or visit the Orchard Practice website at www.topfs.co.uk.
You can also find us on Twitter at InForAPennyPod1, at Marc Shoffman, and at Josh Gerstler. If you'd like to leave us feedback, there's a link in the show notes telling you how to do that. We really appreciate any comments you provide.
And do post any financial issues you'd like us to cover.
Thank you for being
in for a penny.